Hey, boys and girls, I'm so happy you could join us today. Hopefully, you had a chance to look through the lesson from last week with your parents. We talked about the different storms that we face in life and how Jesus is able to walk through those storms with us and get us through those storms. He will never leave us alone, and He helps to calm those storms. That lesson had some really cool activities in it. It had a pretty fun object lesson or science experiment, and a fun craft to do as well. I would love to see those crafts if you were able to do them. You could either email me or leave them on this Facebook page. That would be great. So today, we are going to be talking about fear. Fear is something that we all face, right? Have you guys ever been afraid of anything? Take a moment and just tell me from where you're sitting what you are afraid of. I'd love to hear. Okay, I've heard a few of you say that you've been afraid of the dark. A few of you say you're afraid of heights. Ooh, afraid of bugs. That's a good one. And snakes? Ooh, yeah, snakes are not my best friend either. Well, for Miss Kim, I have to say that there are a few things in life that I've been afraid of. I am afraid of the dark. Even to this day, I don't really care for the dark a whole lot. I've also been afraid of flying in an airplane. And there was a time in my life where I really let fear get the best of me, to the point that I felt really sad and depressed and even sick to my stomach. Have you guys ever allowed fear to get you so much that you were sick to your stomach? Well, I'm going to tell you later on how I was able to overcome that, how I allowed fear to not get the best of me. In today's Bible story, we're going to be talking about fear as well. So today's Bible story comes from Matthew 14. And like last week's Bible story, it also takes place on the water. This is the story of Peter stepping out of the boat and walking on water. Night was coming. Jesus was tired. It had been a very busy day. Jesus wanted to be alone for a while. He wanted to pray. While he went up into the hills, his friends got into their boat. They started rowing to the other side of the lake. The wind was blowing against them. It pushed their boat back. Jesus saw that they were having a hard time rowing, so he came to them walking on water. When they saw him, they were scared. They did not know it was Jesus. Jesus knew they were scared. "Do not be afraid," he said. "It is I." Peter wanted to make sure this was true. "If it really is you," he said, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come on," Jesus said. Peter got out of the boat. Step, step, step. He began to walk on the water too. But then he felt the strong wind. He looked at the waves. He began to sink. "Jesus, save me," he cried. Right away, Jesus pulled Peter up. "Why did you get scared?" Jesus asked. Then they climbed into the boat. The wind stopped blowing. Everyone worshiped Jesus. "You really are God's son," they said. One of my favorite things to do is go out on my boat in the summertime on the Long Island Sound. I don't know about you guys if you have that opportunity to try to do it sometime. But I will tell you, if I was ever out on my boat and I saw a figure standing on the water without water skis or without a jet ski, just walking on it, I think I would be a little bit scared. And I think Peter was uncertain. Is this really Jesus? He even asked Jesus, "If it really is you, tell me to come to you." And he did. And Peter stepped out on the water. And then what happened? He took a few steps and then he began to sink. Do you remember why he began to sink? See, if he had only kept his eyes on Jesus, I don't think he would have started sinking. But instead, he started looking at the waves around him and at the wind. He became distracted and filled with fear, and he began to sink. And sometimes we allow our life to become distracted, full of other things that make us scared, that make us fearful. And sometimes that makes us sick. Sometimes we can't sleep. Sometimes it prevents us from taking big risks and allowing us to do things that God really wants us to do, because we allow fear to be able to get in the way. Okay, so I have a little experiment that I want to show you that goes along with our lessons. So what do you guys think? Do you think that if I put this egg in this water, do you think it's going to sink or float? I want you guys to guess, all right? Sink or float. Let's see. For any of you that guessed sink, congratulations, you won. So what do you think we could do to possibly make this egg float? Let's see. I have got some salt in here. Do you think salt might help it float? Let's see. Let's pour some in. Wow, check it out. Do you see the egg is floating to the top? Did this surprise any of you guys? Did you think that this would happen? Isn't that pretty cool? How do you think the salt is similar to Jesus in the story? That's right. It's because of the salt that the egg was able to float to the top, right? So in today's story, Jesus called Peter to walk out on the water. And with Jesus' help, Peter was able to walk on the water, even though he was really scared. So Jesus helped Peter stay afloat, just like the salt here helped the eggs to stay afloat. We can do anything that Jesus asks us to do, even when we're afraid. Jesus was with Peter when he was afraid, and Jesus is with us, and Jesus can calm all of our fears. And I told you that there was a time in my own life that I was very fearful, right? And Jesus took away those fears. Can you guys guess how Jesus possibly took away those fears? What are some things that you think that we could do to take away those fears? That's right. For me, it was praying. Jesus told me, he said, Kim, spend time with me, spend time talking to me. So every time I felt afraid, I sat and I prayed. And I prayed for other people, and Jesus took away those fears. We could also spend time in his word. The more time we spend with Jesus, the less scared we will be.